It looks like we're going to have a smoky summer, and so we all really need to be cautious. You have these tiny microscopic particles that people are breathing into their lungs. And not only are the particles getting into the lungs, some of them are getting into the bloodstream and causing this huge inflammatory reaction. So it can cause difficulty breathing, cough, itchy throat, burning eyes, dizziness, nausea. And some studies are linking this poor air quality to some long-term effects.
Millions of people across the country facing the likelihood of a summer of smoke thanks to out-of-control wildfires in Canada. The smog and haze creating dangerous conditions, especially for those with asthma and other respiratory diseases. Taking a look at the smoke tracker, the air quality right now, you can see there in the Northeast, unhealthy for big parts of state of New York. Let's bring in Dr. Frita Fisher, certified in pediatrics, nephrology, and internal medicine. Dr. Fisher, thanks so much for being here today. Look, there's air quality alerts that have covered all or parts of 23 U.S. states this week. You have some cities like Washington, Detroit, New York that have seen the worst air quality in the entire world. This is a serious thing. What are people breathing in? What's the actual threat here? What's in the smoke?
Well, you have these tiny microscopic particles that people are breathing into their lungs. And not only are the particles getting into the lungs, some of them are getting into the bloodstream and causing this huge inflammatory reaction. So it can cause difficulty breathing, cough, itchy throat, burning eyes, dizziness, nausea. And some studies are linking this poor air quality to some long-term effects, like making people with chronic lung disease more vulnerable to influenza, or people who have heart disease more vulnerable to having heart attacks or other cardiovascular events. So it's quite serious.
Are we talking about long-term effects here, or should people just be concerned with the short-term effects?
Oh, they should be concerned with both. Certainly in the short term, especially if you're someone with allergies or asthma, you need to pay attention. You need to try to stay indoors and make sure that your windows are completely closed. You want your air conditioning system to have an excellent filter. You want to pull out those HEPA filters as well. If you have to go outside, you want to walk at a moderate pace. This is not the time to be jogging when there's poor air quality. Also, if you have asthma, you want to take your inhaler, usually albuterol, at least 15 minutes before. And this will help with some of the short-term effects. If you are a person who's a sicker person, you want to pay attention for long-term as well.
Yeah, let's bring up the call for number one here. Tips for reducing smoke exposure while you're in your home. You got to keep the windows and doors closed, like you said, and reduce the smoke that enters your home. And if you cannot stay cool, seek shelter elsewhere. Use fans, air conditioning, etc. I guess it makes sense. I thought of this just as an outdoor threat, but this gets into people's homes. I guess I didn't really think about that as part of this threat.
Absolutely. The other thing is that you have to have preparedness. You want to keep at least a 5-day supply of medications, food, water, just in case you're in a situation where you cannot go outside. Yes, this can have long-term effects. It looks like we're going to have a smoky summer, and so we all really need to be cautious.
We also know the call for number two here, the indoor activities to avoid. I guess this is obvious. Don't smoke cigarettes since, that's not good. Don't spray aerosol products, frying or boiling food, burning candles or incense. I guess if it's already bad out there, don't make it worse.
Exactly. You also don't want to be vacuuming and bringing up the dust. And for kids who have asthma, we all want our kids to help us with the chores. But if a child has asthma, that's not the one you want to help you as far as getting rid of dust and whatnot.
Yeah, let's bring up kids here, those who are most at risk. We mentioned those with asthma and respiratory diseases, but also children here. What are the specific risks for children, and how do you keep them safe? They just want to be outside. It's summer.
They want to be outside, but already summer activities are being canceled for outdoors. Like they're canceling outdoor swimming where there's poor air quality. They're canceling outdoor sports, and that's dreadful. But with children, they tend to have small airways. And so with these small airways, they tend to get blocked more easily when there's inflammation. Also, the very young and the very old are at risk because their breathing muscles tend to be weaker. And so they can't get out those good coughs to get rid of mucus when you have these toxins in the lungs. Other people at risk, pregnant ladies, and again, people with chronic diseases like chronic lung disease, heart disease.
So bottom line is, if I want to function this summer and still have my summer, what's your bottom line advice here about going out there if I'm concerned about this smoke?
Bottom line, the same way you would check the weather, check on airnow.gov. This is something that is sponsored by federal agencies. It will let you know the level of air quality in your area, so you know if you need to keep an indoor party, with good air conditioning, good filters, versus being able to go outside. You just want to play it smart and play it safe when it comes to the air.
Yeah, great advice. Dr. Frita Fisher, pediatrics and internal medicine expert, thanks for joining us.